Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Guru Prasad here, welcoming you and our special guest, His Grace Mahatma Prabhu. We are very, very glad and fortunate to have him with us today. He is our guest speaker. I thought I'll say a few words about Prabhu. To begin with, my own interaction with him. And another one is taken from a website. I'm trying to find out where they keep it.
You don't have to say anything.
Prabhuji, no. He's listed under ISKCON leaders. Mahatma Prabhu has been a devotee, initiated devotee from by Srila Prabhupada directly, at least over 50 years, perhaps in 1969, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and Prabhu is definitely actually captured my heart, I should say that. I attended his first Japa retreat in 2007 in Toronto. Subsequently, I attended. And many of you probably remember, he actually joined us for a session in our Vaishnava Sangha. I think it's 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
I lost track. Before COVID, yeah.
We've been doing so many of them, so it's natural to say I don't remember them. But I did get the book from him, Living the Wisdom of Bhakti. Fantastic book. Prabhuji has written many books and many series. He's very good, thinker as well. So if you visit his website, mahatmadas.com. Very simple, mahatmadas.com. You'll get a lot of information. And for aspiring devotees who want to become initiated, he given the very important topic of who is Guru, or what is the relationship with the Guru and the disciple. I mean, practically everything what you can, think of in devotional life, Prabhuji has actually covered that. So I'm very happy to welcome him and introduce him to our Sangha here, online Sangha, mini Sangha. So I'm going to hand it over to him. Please do visit his website, and he is on most of the media, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. And particularly, I looked through this thing recently on his YouTube channel. So that's the easiest thing I can do. I'm not tech savvy, so I just go to YouTube and I listen to many things. So please do visit his website after this presentation. He will today talk about Mahaprabhu himself. So he's going to talk about Mahaprabhu. And after that, maybe we'll have about 10-15 minutes for a bit of interaction with him, reflection, question, whatever. So between 6 and 6:40, 6:45, Prabhuji is okay, about 40 minutes. And then afterwards, we'll get into some.
6:45, you want me to stop and then there's questions, or we stop the class?
Exactly, there will have some interaction, feedback.
Okay.
If it's okay with you, but it's up to you how you want to handle it. Okay. Now let me hand over to Prabhuji. Welcome again to our online Bhagavatam class, Prabhuji. Nice to have you with us.
Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shamini Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Shanyavari Paschati Dasatani Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangolangayate Giring Yakrapatamaham Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Bande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahorito Gauradaya Pushpavanto Chittur Shando Tamanado Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So it's nice to be here with you. Last time I was in Ottawa was 1972. But most of you maybe you were there in another body, I don't know. Maybe we were doing kirtan together in your former bodies. But here we are together again. And I've chosen a verse I wanted to begin discussing, maybe 2 verses. Can I share that? Am I allowed? Can you give me sharing rights? And I'll put the verse up. This is this chapter is on the this chapter is Adi-lila 1, chapter 13, and this chapter is entitled The Advent of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Now, this is a very interesting verse, and I thought it would be a nice meditation for today. Paya manusha janma yena shuni gaura gun hena janma tara bhyarta hoilo paya amrita dhuni piya vishagarta pani janmiya se kene nahi mala. I want to read the word meanings, give you a sense of this verse. Paya manusha janma, anyone who has gotten the form of a human body. Ye, who, na, does not, shune, here, Gaura guna, the qualities of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Hena janma, such a birth, tara, his, byarta hoila, becomes useless. Paya, getting the opportunity, amrita duni, of the river of nectar. Pa, drinks. Misha garta pani, water in a poison pit of material happiness. Janmiya, taking birth as a human being. Sehi kene, why? Nahi, did not, maila, die. Maybe you get a sense of what it means, but we'll read the translation. Anyone who attains a human body, but does not take to the cult of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. Amrita Duni is a flowing river of nectar of devotional service. If after getting a human body, one drinks the water in a poison pit of material happiness, instead of the water of such a river, it would be better for him not to have lived, but to have died long ago. Hare Krishna. Okay. We don't think that Krishnadas Kaviraj wants to kill everybody. But he's explaining this in a sense that if you have the opportunity to swim in and churn the ocean of nectar of Mahaprabhu, which Bhagavatam says is deathless nectar, and you don't take advantage, there's no advantage to living. And for most of us, most people, living just means increasing their sinful activities, their bad karma. And in another sense, if you have a human form of life, you don't take advantage of it. What's the point? So let's read the purport and discuss it. In this connection, Srimad Prabodhananda Saraswati has composed the following verses in his Chaitanya Chandramrita. Achaityam idam vishwam yadi chaityam isharam navidu sarva shastragya yapi brahmanti te janaha. This material world is without Krishna consciousness. Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna consciousness personified. Therefore, if a very learned scholar or scientist does not understand Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, certainly he is wandering uselessly in this world. Sounds a bit black and white, doesn't it? These prayers are coming out of not the fanaticism, but the ecstasy of the pure devotee, in realization of who Mahaprabhu is and what he's given. And so let me give you an example. Like if I give you $1 billion, $1 billion is a lot. You take a million 1,000 times. That's a lot of money, right? So now you have $1 billion, and I come up to you and say, I have $1 million, And you say, 1,000,000, that's nothing. What's 1,000,000? When you have 1,000,000,000, that's 1/1000th of what I have. It's nothing, insignificant. And then you might think, wow, you're a crazy fanatic. You think $1,000,000 is nothing. Well, compared to 1,000,000,000, it is nothing. It's 1/1000, not really significant. So for those who are swimming in the ocean of love of Mahaprabhu, and those who are swimming in the prema nam that Mahaprabhu has given, they say these things. It's out of ecstasy. It's not like they hate everybody and they think everybody is the biggest fool that ever existed in the universe. They're saying that when you could get 1,000,000,000, why are you wasting your time trying to work hard to make 1,000,000 when I can just come and give you, if you go to Mahaprabhu, he'll give you $1,000,000,000 and you're working hard to get your 1,000,000. Why waste your time? That's kind of the mood. Just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so let's go back and read some more verses. So, Prasharita Mahaprema Piyusha Rasa Sagare Caitanya Chandre Pakate Yudina Dina Evasa. A person who does not take advantage of the nectar of devotional service overflowing during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult is certainly the poorest of the poor. Now, of course, materially speaking, we evaluate wealth based on how many zeros you have on your bank balance. Well, there should be one number in front of the zeros, hopefully. How many zeros you have after that number. That's how you evaluate your wealth. And Prabodhananda Saraswati is saying, no, that's not wealth. You can have billions of Canadian dollars and still be the poorest man spiritually. And you could have no money, Canadian, American, whatever. And you have prema, that is called prema dan, you're the wealthiest. Prema dan. You see this bead bag here? This is where all your wealth lies. All the wealth in the world lies right here, because this can give you prema. This can give you prema dan, which is the greatest gift. Sometimes we don't realize this. Sometimes we think the wealth is in the bank. It's not in the bank. It's in the name. So that's where this verse is coming from. The next verse. Avatirne Gora Chandre Vishtirne Premashagara Srupa Kashita Ratnoge Yudina Dina Evasa. The advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just like an expanding ocean of nectar. One who does not collect the valuable jewels within this ocean is certainly the poorest of the poor. All right, another poorest of the poor verse. And now we're going to Bhagavatam. Prabhupada wants to explain this in these verses from Bhagavatam. I'll just read the translations from the second canto. You may recognize the first line, Swavid Varahoshtakara, Samstuta Purusha Pashu Nayat Karna Pato Peto Chatu Nama Gadagraja. It's saying that people who don't listen to the nectar of Krishna Lila, then their lives are similar to the lives of animals. Here's the translation. A person who has no connection with Krishna consciousness may be a very great personality in so-called human society, but actually he is no better than a great animal. Such big animals are generally praised by other animals like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. A person who does not lend his oral reception to hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered to have ear holes like holes in a field. Although that person has a tongue, it is like the tongue of a frog, which unnecessarily creates a disturbance by croaking, inviting the snake of death. In other words, snakes eat frogs, and when the frog croaks, the snake knows where the frog is, and then the snake comes and eats the frog. Similarly, the words the words describing Krishna's pastimes are considered to be deathless nectar, as I mentioned. And in verses around this in the Bhagavatam, it describes that although the sun is rising and setting, taking away the duration of our life, those who are hearing and chanting, it's not taking away the duration of their life, it's actually preparing them for immortality. But those who are not, they're calling the snake of death. They're just getting closer to death. So again, these verses are contrasting, like something is good or bad relative to something else that's good or bad. So someone may be very intelligent, very sophisticated, very wealthy, very successful. So in and of its own right, it's good. But when you compare that to what is available, which is eternal lila with Krishna, then it's not looking so good anymore. That's the idea, right? So I have a story for you. And this happened when I was 16, and it was somehow or other, it has remained in my mind. I always thought it was funny and significant. So when I was 16, I went to buy a guitar, like a good one. I didn't have such a good one. So I worked, I made about $250, $300, which in those days was like, maybe like $1,600 now. So I went to buy a guitar. And there was, in those days, there were like little small shops that just sold guitars, weren't big music stores. And they had a room they would take you in, and the room had really good acoustics. So the guitars would always sound better in that room. And so I'd say, I would like to listen to this guitar. But what they would always do is they would always bring in a better guitar. So after you heard the better guitar, which was more expensive, the guitar you liked, you didn't like anymore. You ever have that experience? You think something's good until you find out there's something better, and then you bought the one that isn't so good, and you were happy until you found out that it's actually not that good. So that's the context of these verses. It sounds kind of strange. Everyone's just like a dog. Well, why are we saying that? Because in Kali Yuga now, you don't have to be a dog. You could actually be a demigod, so to speak. You can churn the ocean of nectar of Mahaprabhu's Lila. You can get prema and go and enter the Braj pastimes. So just being materially successful, it doesn't sound so good in relation to that. That's the point. So we'll go back. Yes, continue reading. Although that person has a tongue, it is like the tongue of a frog, which unnecessarily creates a disturbance by croaking, inviting the snake of death. Similarly, a person who neither takes advantage of the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, nor smells the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, must be considered dead, even though he is supposedly working. Dead meaning he's dead because he's spiritually dead. So he's alive materially, but spiritually not alive. And then the last verse, it's quite a well-known verse. This is from 10:1-4. Nirviti tashar upagiyamanad bhavo sodach chotra manobhiramat ka utama shloka gunanuvadat puman virajeta vina pashugnat. Who, but the animal killer, or the killer of the soul, will not care to hear glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such glorification is enjoyed by persons liberated from the contamination of this material world. So, I don't know if you realize this, but your duty, my dear devotees, is to enjoy. And I'm giving you this advice. You should enjoy. And what should you enjoy? You should get to the ocean of nectar of Krishna Lila and Krishna's instructions, Mahaprabhu Lila and his instructions, and get out your big paddle or get out your mixer, like you churn milk, you churn cream into whipping cream, or you churn cream into butter. this is what the life of a devotee is. It's for churning nectar. That's what we're supposed to do. Matchitta makata prana bodhiyantas parasparam. That verse in the Gita, when devotees come together, what do? They make butter. That's what the verse says. My dear devotees, when you come together, what do you make? Do you make butter, or do you make some kind of poison of stupid talks about stupid things that don't mean anything, that won't help your spiritual life? Or do you take what you know spiritually and churn it so it becomes thicker and sweeter, and then it becomes like a balm which soothes the pain of the heart for material existence, and also becomes the medicine that cures the disease of material existence? That's the idea. So it's okay to be the enjoyer as long as Krishna is the enjoyer. Then we enjoy in relation to Krishna. Everything is good. If you move Krishna out of the picture, then literally all hell lets loose. Figuratively and literally, that's where we will end up. So, my dear nectar churners, today is the day, one great day for nectar churning. Okay, we'll finish the purport. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 3:23-56 says, Natirtapada sev vayai jivanapi mritohisa. Although a person is apparently living, if he does not serve the lotus feet of great devotees, he is to be considered a dead body. So I want to go back and read the verse one more time. Maybe it will have more significance. Anyone who attains a human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. Baffled, and it's not just like to be successful, to be happy, to fill the heart with love. All of this will be baffled. Kali Yuga is a really difficult age. There's a lot of suffering, not a lot of happiness. And so it's very, very difficult to be happy in Kali Yuga. It normally requires people to drink beer, isn't it? You drink a lot of beer in Canada? Or worse, vodka? Or that's just for the Russians in Canada. Yeah. So the material world is so bad that we as devotees, if we look at how people try to find happiness, it makes us very sad. We think that they must be so unhappy if you have to drink beer to be happy. You know, if you say, hey, Prabhu, you want some beer? You say, no, I don't want beer. It tastes horrible. It'll make me stupid. And if I say, no, it'll make you happy, you'll think you're crazy. What are you talking about? But this is the way people become happy. Or they go into a football stadium and scream and jump up and down. And we look at that and we think, this is unfortunate if this is what you have to do to be happy, or you need to climb a mountain to be happy, or ski down a mountain or so. When you're churning the ocean of nectar of Mahaprabhu's leelas and instructions, then this all makes sense. But if we ourselves are not churning that nectar ocean, then we're also going to be looking for happiness in the pot of poison as described in this verse. So let's finish it. Let's finish the verse. If after getting a human body, one drinks the water in a poison pit of material happiness, instead of the water of such a river means the nectar, this here, flowing nectar of devotional service, it would be better for him to not have lived, but to have died long ago, because all he's going to do is engage in material activities, exploit the earth, commit sinful activities, suffer the karma. What's the point? Of course, we don't think, oh, well, if that's the case, well, maybe we should just, put some poison in the water supply and everybody could just die that way. At least they won't commit sinful activity. Of course, that's not going to solve the problem. They'll take birth again, commit sinful activity, but it's figuratively speaking, like what's the point of living if Mahaprabhu has come and you're turning your back on the nectar. So if you read the Adi-lila, I believe it's chapter 7, it describes how so many people were so foolish that they were running away from Mahaprabhu's mercy. Have you ever ran away from Mahaprabhu's mercy? Run towards sense gratification and think, this will make me happy? You don't have to raise your hand. I already know the answer. So you don't have to be embarrassed. We all will say, yes, I do that. That's because in Kali Yuga, the inclinations are very strong towards material sense gratification. So what I like to do on the appearance days of Krishna and his various incarnations or Krishna's devotees is to appreciate the gifts they've given, appreciate what we get from them. Because when you appreciate something, you take more advantage of it. When you don't appreciate it, you tend to neglect it. Isn't it? If I give you a big pen that costs $1, made out of plastic, and I talk to you a year from now and I say, do you have that pen? First thing you'll say is, what pen? You say, remember that pen I gave you? You go, oh, you mean, oh, I kind of remember it. Yeah. It's like so insignificant. It probably cost 50 cents, not even $1. And it's a plastic pen. And you can buy whole packs of these pens, right? 20 pens for like $3 or $4. So I give you one of those pens, you practically lose it the day after I give it to you. What if I give you a gold pen? And I say, remember that gold pen I gave you? It's worth like $4,000. Oh, yeah, I have it right here. Have it in my safe. I'm taking care of it. Have you ever lost a cheap pen? Yeah, Prabhu, I lose like 3 every day. Yeah. But gold pen, solid gold pen, you were not going to lose. If you lose a solid gold pen, you must have been raised in a pretty wealthy family. But ordinary person will not lose a solid gold pen, right? So it's similar in our bhakti that sometimes if we're not doing well, we don't appreciate enough of what we're given, and we kind of don't relish it, don't take advantage of it. Well, Prabhu, I can't find my beads. Did you see them around? Did you know where I put them? You ever lose your beads? Hare Krishna. That's like, you have a 2-month-old baby. You go, I forgot where my baby is. Have you seen my baby? I forgot where I put him down. Yeah, that doesn't happen, right? So I forgot where I put my beads. Red flags, everyone. Big problem. I forgot how many rounds I have left today. I don't think I pulled them all down. Do I have 14 or 13, maybe 16, 15? Yeah. It's not a good sign. But when you appreciate, then you obviously take advantage of what you appreciate, but you relish it more also. So let's appreciate what's being said in these verses. Do you know that when Krishna comes, he does all these amazing childhood pastimes, and it's said that these childhood pastimes are the sweetest of all of Krishna's pastimes. Sweet. Of course, Rasa-lila is the highest, but these childhood pastimes kind of win in the sweetness category, right? In different categories, right? And do you know that those leelas do not take place in Goloka? They only take place here in Gokul. Did you know that? Like, we are privy to those leelas. In the spiritual world, Krishna isn't growing up. He's not a little baby. And all these leelas where he's killing Kamsa and others, it doesn't happen up there. There's rumors it happens. There's sometimes that Krishna went to Mathura, killed Kamsa, but it's a fake Kamsa. It's like, it's not really happening. And so Jasoda, she knows Krishna is her son. She sees him, but not her baby. Eternally youthful. Krishna is like 16 forever. Sweet 16 forever. And here on earth, we somehow or other, you and me, the most fallen of the fallen, if there were prizes for being the most fallen, everyone living today on earth would get a prize. Because we're still here, And the Kali Yuga is we're already in 5,000 years. We haven't figured out how to get out. We are definitely amongst the most fallen. And to us, the most fallen, who have absolutely no qualification other than we just want to enjoy the body to the maximum extent. That's our basic qualification. And still, Mahaprabhu comes and says, I'm doing my leelas. I'm dancing in ecstasy. I'm giving you ecstasy. Krishna comes, I'm doing my leelas. It's all recorded. We've all arranged it. Sukadeva Goswami will speak it. It'll be recorded. You can spend your life hearing my leelas. And I'm going to give you a holy name, and I'm going to spice it with prema. It's not like your ordinary stock Harinam. This is Harinam. How should we say it? Harinam on steroids, basically. It's going to be the steroid of prema has now entered the holy name in this Kali Yuga. So this holy name that you and I have, we all have, is a different holy name than is available in most Kali Yugas. So it's spiced, sliced with the steroid of Krishna prema in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan, which is never given before, and we've got it all. What do you think of that, Prabhus? What time is prasadam? That's what I think. Yeah, that's because we're residents of Kali Yuga. That's our problem. So it's good that you appreciate prasadam, but prasadam comes in other forms. And this is the real prasadam. So Mahaprabhu comes, and it's the time to spread the Yuga Dharma. So he comes, but he also has personal desire. And he was once speaking to Rukmini. He went to visit Rukmini, and she was crying and crying because she was thinking Krishna is going to leave. Now he's with me. He's going, he comes to see me, then he's going to leave, and I can't bear the separation. So Krishna said, "Why are you crying?" And Rukmini said, "You could never understand in a million years why I'm crying." For Krishna, a million years is like a second. You can never understand in eternal time, why am I crying? And Krishna said, "What do you mean? I can't understand. I'm the Vedaham Samatitani. I know everything." She said, "Yeah, whatever, but you cannot understand how I feel." So this sparked something inside of him, like, my devotees love me so much. I can't understand it. And I can't understand what they're experiencing because they see my form and there's something that's going on with them and I don't understand. Although Krishna has a little understanding, because sometimes when Krishna sees himself like in a mirror or some reflection, he becomes attracted. Who's that person? I want to hug them. They're so beautiful. But to fully understand himself, that wasn't possible. So Rukmini said, if you want to understand what I'm feeling, you have to take on the mood of Radharani. So Krishna said, I want to do that because I see that you all have this love and you're tasting a nectar and a happiness I have no idea of. I want to taste it. So therefore Mahaprabhu comes with that mission, which we see he fully embraced that mission in his last 18 years in Jagannath Puri. But then he decides, okay, Kali Yuga, let's give them Kali Yuga, the Kali Yugaites, let's give them their last chance. What are we going to do for them? Well, I came and spoke Bhagavad Gita. That didn't work. Nobody surrendered. Everybody misunderstood me, and now they're all trying to imitate me. Well, Krishna can dance with 16,000 gopis. Why can't I dance? After all, God wants us to be happy. So that's kind of where it went. And as Prabhupada said, there are many editions of Bhagavad Gita, and they're all bogus. 635 editions of Bhagavad Gita, and nobody got it right. How did that happen? It was only in 5,000 years, you could get 635 interpretations. That's only the ones that were published. you go into people's heads, there'll be 635 million interpretations, right? So Mahaprabhu said, okay, people in Kali Yuga, they're not that smart. So we have to just give them, we just have to give it to them the way it is. I'm not going to come with Radharani and the gopis and dance because they'll misunderstand that, because they interpret everything sexually. They're boy, girl. They just think of sex. It's like you hit a button. Boy, girl, the button goes off in their head. And so they look at my pastimes and they think, oh, these are just like ordinary boys and girls. They have no understanding. So I will come to experience Radha and Krishna's love, but I will also teach them as a devotee. And I'm Radha and Krishna, but it's in the figure of one man. So they're not going to misunderstand. And I will bring all the gopis and manjaris, not all, I will bring many gopis and manjaris, and they will be gurus. And rather than engage in Ras-lila, they will describe what is Ras-lila. They will describe what is prema, what is the love of the gopis, because they're gopis, they can describe it, but they're all in male figures. So nobody will misunderstand. And the only thing that really didn't even come close, but was Rasa-lila was the kirtans at Srivasanga, which Mahaprabhu wouldn't let anybody go to because they were too pure. But it was said it was like the Rasa dance. But you can see it's all men, and the men are writing about what they did and what their moods are because people misunderstood. So Mahaprabhu says, okay, so that should, and then what we're going to do is we're going to teach people about the love that the Brajbasis have. And not only are we going to teach it, we're going to enable people to get that love through the Mahamantra and through the association of advanced devotees. And this was never given. Well, it was given 8 billion years ago, 8,640,000,000 years approximately. It was given before, but the Shastra says it's never given because something that long, you just describe it as never, right? You ever say that? Oh, Elena, you never do that. And Elena says, well, I did it when I was 3 years old. Yeah, but you haven't done it since. So we can say, you never do it, right? Because it's so long. You never do that. Well, I did it, 25 years ago. No, it doesn't count. So Shastra says Mahaprabhu has never given this because it's so long. It's just, is given. You could say, well, he hasn't given it for 8,640,000,000 years, or you could just say he's never given. So Shastra just says never. And here you are, ladies and gentlemen, ISKCON Ottawa, Elena, Bhakta Ilya, Guru Prasad, Anandamayi, Matthew, Sharat, Mandalaram, Leela Mohini, and Sushma. Here you are, your big chance after 8,640,000,000 years. You are here. You can take the mercy. You can churn the ocean. What do you think? Let me think about it. Let me eat a few pakoras first. I'll think about it. Yeah, that's Kali Yuga. That's Kali Yuga, right? So we need to understand. It's good for us to understand Mahaprabhu's mercy, and it's good to understand Svavidva Hostakrai. Sometimes we're like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. So we want to increase our appreciation muscles, right? Because when those muscles of appreciation are increased, then we take more advantage of the hearing and chanting. Now, one of the big challenges for all of us Kali Yugaites is, as Mahaprabhu said, Nam Namakari Bahudani Jasarva Shaktis. Krishna, you are present in your name. There's no difference. It's not like if you were walked in the room, it would be different than you're walking in the form of your name. But Durdaivam, you know what Durdaivam means? When I was a kid, there was a blues song. I don't know if it's any of you ever heard it in your time, if it ever made it into your culture. But it was called Born Under a Bad Sign. I was born under, I don't remember how it goes, but just standard blues song. I was born under a bad sign. Anyone heard that song before? It's funny, because it's about astrology. Born, blue song. I was born under a bad sign. Do do do. And then the last line. I forget how it goes, but it's if I have any luck at all, it's bad luck. So I think he was describing Kali Yuga, born under a bad sign, and if we have any luck, it's bad luck. And Bhagavatam says, short-lived, unfortunate, which means unlucky, right? So, Durdaivam, dur means bad, and daivam means fortune or karma. So Durdaivam, it kind of means bad karma or bad fortune. Nanu raga, and raga means attachment, and nanu means I don't have any. So Krishna, you've come out of your mercy. You, now in Kali Yuga, you're present in the name. It's a deity. It's an incarnation in sound. Don't leave home without it. You don't have to, sit down and, take a bath and, 5 a.m. and do your puja. You just take your bead bag. Don't leave home without it. And your deity is with you anywhere and everywhere, fully present and more powerful than deity worship, more powerful than any yajna you could do. It's the Yuga Dharma. I can get Krishna Prema by chanting. But there's one big problem, Nanuraga. I'm not attached. I don't like it. I'd rather eat pakoras. Chant my rounds later. Can you relate? So, what I always say to devotees is, make yourself fortunate. So, Prabhupada was asked many times, why does someone take the Krishna consciousness? He said, because they're intelligent and fortunate. But then he said, well, how do they become fortunate? He said, we make them fortunate. We go out and we give them the holy name. So what does Prabhupada mean? If we're making them fortunate, how is it that they have to be fortunate? Well, I give you $1 million and I visit you 5 years from now, and you may be homeless. It's possible, right? Many people who won the lottery ended up homeless. Did you know that? Yeah, they failed their money management classes in high school or something. So it's not enough to get mercy. You have to know how to invest it. And so make yourself fortunate. You've been given the fortune, so now make yourself fortunate. And so one of the ways we make ourselves fortunate is we take the gifts of Mahaprabhu and we use them properly. We don't hem and haw. Oh, it's so hard to chant. I'm so fallen. Maybe we should write a book, 108 excuses to not become Krishna conscious. We've made them all, isn't it? It's like, well, what's the point of making 108 excuses? Just to convince yourself that you're too fallen to chant properly, so you don't feel guilty when you don't chant properly. That's not the way to go. We're supposed to appreciate, right? Mahaprabhu has given this gift. I am so fortunate. Now I've been given fortune. I need to invest that fortune. So Mahaprabhu has given me the fortune of the holy name. He's given me the fortune of such amazing association, so many great acharyas. Srila Prabhupada is here, so many great devotees in ISKCON, temples, Tulsi, deities, everything. Let me make myself fortunate by taking advantage. That's important, because just because the fortune is there doesn't mean we are going to be rich. We have to know how to take advantage of it. So that's what I wanted to say. And in the interest of time for questions, I actually have to leave at 7 also, because we're going to another program at 7. So if anyone has any questions or comments? Well, let me say one last thing. How do we appreciate the gift? We appreciate the gift by making our best efforts to take that gift and utilize it, especially making efforts to avoid the offenses while we chant. So not to be a mindless chanter, but be a mindful chanter. Be present to the deity of the holy name who's sitting with you when you're chanting, and give your heart and your prayers and your devotion to that name, because that's the Yuga Dharma. This is how we become Krishna conscious. And all the gifts you could say Mahaprabhu is giving us are really all contained in the holy name. So if we miss that, we've kind of missed the boat, so to speak. And that boat's crossing over the ocean, going to Braj. And if we miss that boat, then, see you in 8 billion years, Prabhus. Better luck next time. Of course, it's not that bad. We can come back and, we can come back again. But Prabhupada said, you could come back again, but there's no guarantee that you'll do devotional service. So make yourself fortunate now. Don't be Durdaivam, be Daivam. Hare Krishna. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to discuss, answer. Or we can just, yes.
First, let me convey my personal appreciation. Beneficial for me to be reminded, because I need to be reminded every day, actually.
Yes, it's true.
I'm about to do something very, very beneficial to me. So I think thank you for summing it up so nicely, and a lot of very nice tips. I appreciate that. I'll come to that question later on. I have one question, and come to it later on. Maybe the other devotees can express their thoughts and reflections.
Hare Krishna, we have a question from ISKCON Ottawa here.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the class. I was just wondering, you were mentioning that I guess sometimes devotees can fall into the guilt that they're not taking advantage of the gift.
Yeah.
I was wondering, how can someone move past that? Because that can be a debilitating thing. Like, I'm not chanting or I dropped off. And how does one get past that?
Oh, it depends on the person, because it'll be different for different people. Some people are programmed to feel guilty about everything. So if we get them past the guilt about chanting, they'll find something else to feel guilty about. So it's like, it's endless. So it's not like you can specifically deal with it for one thing. It's, they have to deal with it universally, like why. But Mahaprabhu, if you look at Mahaprabhu's names, the Gauranga has 100, there's a Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, 108 names. One of them is Gunagrahi, and one of them is, I forget, but it means that he only sees the good. He only sees the efforts. So you can have kind of like reverse guilt, where instead of thinking, oh, Krishna, he must be seeing how bad I am, you can think Krishna must be seeing how hard I'm trying. Because that's actually a fact. It's only low-class people who look at other people and see their faults. But for Krishna, he doesn't enjoy seeing people's faults as we would. But he sees our heart. He sees our sincerity. He sees only the good. He can't see the bad. Just like we hear the Mahabhagavat sees everyone as a devotee. And we're thinking, how could you see everyone as a devotee? Obviously, they're not. But he doesn't see the not. He only sees that they are, even if they're not. So also great personalities only see the good in others. So don't think Krishna is like your grandmother who is always, on your case for whatever, for leaving your socks out or something. So he's not like that. So that's one. So that's another point, from a philosophical perspective. So you have the psychological and philosophical. And if you read in the Bhagavatam 11th canto, there Krishna describes that he, obviously he knows what we're going through. He's within us and he knows everything. So he describes there that he knows what his devotees are going through. He knows the struggles they're going through. He understands it totally. So the real thing is that we're sincere and we make the effort. And whatever else happens after that is our conditioning just kicking in. And we don't always have control of our conditioning. Like you're overcoming a bad habit, so you're working on overcoming it. You don't always have so much control of how long it's going to take, but you have control of how much effort you make. So, why would we want to feel guilty if we're making a sincere effort just because the result isn't coming and we don't even have control over the result? So it's better you look at the effort and say, if I'm sincerely trying, it's just kind of a perversion that I would feel guilty because I can't do any better than what I'm doing now. I don't like the results, but the result, I've been cleaning this pot all day. It's still dirty. Well, that pot was really dirty when you started, so it could take the whole day to clean. So, we started Krishna consciousness pretty dirty. So, but if I'm trying to clean the pot and gradually I see it's getting better and I'm doing my best, it doesn't make sense to feel guilty. I feel so guilty. It's 3 p.m. I've been washing this pot since 11 o'clock and it's still not clean. Everybody would think, you feel guilty because the pot's dirty? You've been working so hard to clean that pot. Why would you feel guilty? Doesn't make sense, right? But you're focused on the pot. You know that little exercise? You take a sheet of paper and it's a little dot in the middle. Almost, you could hardly see it, right? And you hold the sheet of paper and you ask everybody, what do you see? And everybody says, I see the dot, So that's kind of like sometimes the dot is that one little fault. Well, I got up today at 4:01. I should have got up at 4. And the whole day I'm thinking, I'm so bad. Prabhupada said get up at 4 and I got up at 4:01. I don't know. Maybe I should just give up bhakti. That's the little dot we're focused on, right? Why not focus on the fact that I got up at 4, went to Mangalarti? That's amazing, right? Does that make sense? It's a good question. It's a big topic. I've given classes on that topic.
Yes, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Well, we could say that little spot is our little bit of devotion. So let's focus on the little devotion. You could look at it that way also. Or you could look at it in the ocean of effort. There's one little spot or a few little spots. And those spots will be cleaned by my efforts also. It's not that they won't go away. It just takes time. Another thing that's really interesting. Prabhupada once told the devotees, he said, you were all sent by my Guru Maharaj. You're all devotees in your past lives. And the devotees said, well, how is that possible? We broke all the principles for like 20 years or more of our life. And Prabhupada said, oh, that's just superficial. So what did Prabhupada mean? He meant what's in your heart, that's what's real. So Prabhupada said, that's superficial. When you heard the holy name, you came running. So, it's like, okay, I did so many sinful things, but that's just like whatever. Superficial. It's not, those things are not going to stop your bhakti, The fact that you think some crazy thought or this or that, that's not going to stop your bhakti. But you're sincerely engaged in devotional service, that means you're a devotee. That's what's important. So I think that puts it in more perspective. Superficial, remember that word, it's just superficial. Superficial means it's not foundational to who you are. I'm thinking of something, I'm not going to do it. It's just a conditioned thought habituated from my past activities. It's superficial because I'm not going to do it, even though I'm thinking, why am I thinking about this? I wouldn't do it if it was in front of me. But I'm conditioned to think about it. So I could beat myself up. Maybe I should drown myself. I'm so bad. Or maybe I should just think, whatever, it's just superficial, and just keep going forward in my bhakti and then be connected with my heart, with my faith. That's what we should be connected with. Not connected with the superficial conditioning. That doesn't make sense. And that's where the guilt's coming, as we're connected with that. And we think that's important. It's not important. Okay, Mandala Rama has a question or a comment.
Hare Krishna Mahatma Prabhu, thank you so much for coming and giving us your association. My question is, what do we do about when new people come to bhakti? They have their certain conditionings and stuff that they bring with them. And, they might not be able to follow, say, the rules and regulations to a T and whatever else. There's a whole spectrum of things that could be there. But, how should we deal with those people, bringing them up in Krishna consciousness?
Yeah. Well, I like the way you use the word bring them up, just like you would bring up a child. If you see, God, I could give a whole lecture on this. Let me just tell you this. Today we're doing initiation. So I'm going to initiate some devotees, right? And so they're already chanting Hare Krishna. They're already doing so many things that free them from sin. They're already wearing tilak. They're already wearing neck beads. These are all things that are done at initiation. You're given the mantra. You're given tilak. You're given neck beads. And so, in a sense, the only two things that are really happening is they've already made their vows. Now they're formalizing them publicly. And they're going to get a spiritual name because that's part of the process of initiation. But technically speaking, they're already like good to go, even though they're not officially initiated. So part of the problem we have in ISKCON is we look at everybody and say, okay, let's see, we have Bhakta. Let's see, there's some Bhaktas here. Okay, all right. Shushma, Matthew, Ila, Elena, Sharat. When are you getting initiated? Like, what's wrong with you? You don't even have a spiritual name. You're like, what's going on? You're having trouble, you don't have faith. That mood, that's the wrong mood. We think like, oh, until you get initiated, it's like, well, good luck. We'll see you in your next life. So if we treat people that way, they're gonna, like at a certain point, not be happy. Rather, everyone's in the process on a different level at a different speed, and we need to be less judgmental, more accepting, and more encouraging according to where people's at. I mean, we have seen, I don't know how long you've been a devotee, but we have seen many sprinters in Krishna consciousness run out of breath, halfway back to Godhead. And the people who were the tortoises ended up passing them up. So, it's not how you start, it's how you end. So everyone should be situated in a way in Krishna consciousness where they're progressing, but not everyone will be situated in the same place at the same speed. But as long as someone is situated well and is slowly progressing, we should be happy and we should support that wherever that is on the scale. It doesn't have to be, 16 rounds, 4 principles, and so much service. But if they're doing well down here and they're going up, it's better than being up here going down, isn't it? Because in the long run, you will get up here and you will surpass the person who's up here going down. So I have a funny story for you. This is so interesting. In Los Angeles, there's a man who used to come to Sandhya Arti every evening. He was older than all of us. He looked like he was like 20 years older than us. And he never talked to anybody. At least I never saw him talk to anybody. And he just get a chair, come for Sandhya Arti, sit in the chair. He had a totally shaven head and a toothpick. And he'd always be chewing a toothpick and a shaved head. So, we were like 30 and he was like 50. And so I was, or we were in the late 20s, maybe he was in his late 40s or early 50s. Anyway, so I spent a lot of time in LA and then I left LA and I came back. I left LA in like 1979 and I came back in like 96. So, like 17 years later, right? So many devotees had gone. So many new faces. I went to Sandhya Arti. Guess who was sitting in the back chewing on a toothpick? Same guy, right? So he's like the idol of, slow and steady where you're at. And 20 years from now, you'll still be here. And so many of those rough, tough, fired up brahmacharis, who knows where they are now, what they're doing. So was that answer okay? Did that answer your question, or did I sidestep it or something?
No, that's nice. I'm sure we could go on that topic, like you said, all day long, but that was a nice overview. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. As long as someone is making progress. It's different if you take vows and like that, then we kind of expect you. But even in that situation, sometimes we have to be lenient for a while. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have to leave Alachua and go to Gainesville for a initiation, and it's probably not a good idea that I'm late. So I will have to leave you now. But it was nice being with you all. And
Once again,
Hare Krishna to everybody.
for your morning, quite inspiring. We hope to see you again.
Yeah, why not? Maybe in person in August. I'll come to Canada.
Oh, you're coming to Canada in August.
If you do one of those festivals again, I'll come.
Yes,
Okay.
we're planning on it, Prabhu. Absolutely. We'll be in touch.
You have any idea of the dates yet?
Well, we're thinking mid-August at some point. We're just trying to iron out a venue. So that's the main thing. But we'll hopefully, Krishna Kripa Prabhu is also in touch with us. And he's like, when's the festival? I'm planning on coming. So we'll.
I was invited to something at the end of August. So if it's in Canada, so
Okay.
you could manage the weekend before that. That would be good.
Okay, we'll be in touch for sure. Thank you so much,
Keep it
Prabhu.
in mind. All right. Haribol.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
The weekend of the 19th, the 20th. Put that on your calendar.
Okay, thank
If
you.
that's possible. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.